Alright, Mr. Percy, you gotta look good for the camera, okay, bud? Look good for the camera. The people will give likes for this. Mr. Percy! Mr. Percy, no! Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. We're going to be playing with some Ocelot Pride today, so I decided to try and get one of my cats on camera here. But Mr. Percy is more content to hang out at my feet here. You can't see him, he's off camera, but he is being quite cute. Now, before we get into our sweet deck for today, today's video is sponsored by IntoTheAM.com. They make all of the absolutely awesome t-shirts that I wear. Just literally every shirt that I wear while recording for this channel is from Into the AM. My promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and I've got a direct link to them down in the video description. Check them out if you want really cool Japanese-inspired shirts and kind of strange Cthulhu-esque, space-esque vibes. You'll like their stuff a lot. So today, Sirion asked me to build a deck around one specific interaction, that between Containment Priest and Phelia. So within the context of Modern Legacy, we are used to people using Phelia to blink things for value, often Overlord of the Baelmerk or creatures with assorted activated abilities, some of which might give you extra permanents or tokens or things like that. And we want to instead use Phelia offensively. We are going to use Phelia as removal. So our goal here is to exile an opponent's creature with the Phelia trigger and have a Containment Priest in play, or play a Containment Priest afterwards so that that creature does not come back and is permanently exiled. Normally, this is too cute of a thing to do in Legacy. However, given that Dimir Reanimator is north of 20% of the format as of the time of recording, and there are other reasonable graveyard decks as well, it might be time to really be main decking Graveyard Hate in some capacity. And we have seen that on both sides of the both sides of the battlefield in recent videos. The last time we played a deck that looked like this, I was under the constraints of trying to play Deafening Silence, and we don't have that same constraint today. And I'm going to use the extra slots that we have to get a card advantage engine in here. In the previous video, the One Ring was very powerful. We are trying to be a little lower to the ground, so Staff of the Storyteller is going to be our One Ring for this deck. So it is going to draw us one card initially, and then every time we put another token into play, which hopefully we are doing close to every turn, we just get to put another counter on this. And we can go ahead and blink this with Phelia, even if Containment Priest is in play, and that is not going to be problematic. And the times where we don't have Containment Priest, we can just use Phelia to blink our Ajanis and our Orcish Bowmasters and whatnot, and charge up Staff of the Storyteller. The sideboard allows me some flexibility. If Thoughtseize, for example, is not good, some number of Goyfs or additional removal spells of some nature are going to be able to fill those slots. And we have some more Graveyard Hate, as well as some generic combo hate here. Honestly, this deck might be better off just playing Null Rod, but Clarion Conqueror does some real damage versus decks like Nadu that we might end up seeing, so I think I'm going to give this a shot. The core here is somewhere between a recent, I think it was a top 8 deck list, and what I was playing previously the last time I was messing around with Orzhov Energy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into some matches here. If you need some t-shirts, Into the AM is your place to go. But if you need some cards, TOAmagic.com is great. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. And if you are into Legacy stuff, if you like nice cards, they have tons of individually scanned high-end options. You want some sweet tournament promos, they've probably got them. And they're scanned. You can see exactly what you're getting. And my promo code still works on the expensive stuff. Get you a tabernacle. Alright, with that being said, let's battle. Okay, my opening hand here does not have mana. We're going to mulligan. Opponent is a big fan. Hello. My second hand is perfectly reasonable here. No way. Big fan. Hello. You're in a video. I'm sorry. I hope it's not oops. I will forgive you if it is oops, but I will complain just a little bit. I'm going to get rid of Flooded Strand here and throw down Ocelot Pride. Yeah, this is what current Legacy is like, unfortunately. Was that on themselves? Yeah, that was on themselves so they can reanimate. Yep. And we are playing Fairy Macabres because Blue-Black Reanimator is 40% of the format, or sorry, 20% of the format right now. Let's see if there's anything interesting going on here. I imagine that the answer is no. There is the singleton copy. Let me move that so you all can see that better. There is the singleton copy of Lively Dirge here. That's about the only interesting thing happening here. I'm just going to concede before they see my hand. Like, the win is very clearly on board here. We had the chance to eject this from the format, but that didn't happen. So we got to play against it while it is legal. I absolutely do not need to grind in this matchup. Swords to Plowshares is not super potent here. I need some amount of Swords Path Sheltered by Ghosts to respect pivot plans. The pivot plans are all over the fucking place. It could be Rotting Regisaur, could be Barrowgoyfs, could be Goblin Charbelchers, could be green cards that get rid of things like Rest in Peace and Leyline of the Void. Really, really, really all over the place. I can turn 2 swords into 2 paths. Those do the same thing. My opponent does not have any basic lands, so this is just largely better unless I get into some super fringe case where I need to increase my own life total. Gonna lower my curve a bit more and then maybe just trim one random creature. This is solid. It doesn't mean that it's good enough, but it's solid. Right? Like, we have a Thoughtseize, we have a Fairy, and I have a engine that takes very little to get going. Opponent on 6. We will Thoughtseize off a Scrubland because I need the white in a minute. So the only card that does anything in my opponent's hand is Goblin Charbelcher. I will accordingly take that. That was just a turn 1 kill with Pact of Negation backup, by the way, on a plan that they did not have in game 1. So, oh, that's very good, actually. But I was about to say, my Wasteland does not actually tap for mana here. That casts Ocelot Pride or Guide of Souls. The issue here is that my opponent is still very much just live to top deck a card that wins the game. Just yield to all of those, go up to 18, and then at end of turn, the Ocelot Pride trigger is going to do this again. All right, am I dead? Nope, that was just a test spell, which is great. Oops, clicked one too many times there. It is not going to matter. I was going to hold up my mana differently. So, Bowmaster face, resolve that trigger, go to punchies, send in Guide of Souls trigger. Yes, we will do it on the lifelinker on the off chance that that becomes relevant. My opponent is at 14. I'll Shadowy Backstreet. I absolutely do not need a Wasteland. And then we have the end of turn trigger. We are not at the City's Blessing. We are 1 short. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think I have lethal next turn either. Opponent has another Lotus Petal. We have dodged them having relevant cards. Alright, double check the math. I can add 2 damage to this if I play Fairy Macabre out. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Not lethal. So I will hold Fairy. We'll send in, not paying anything here. Opponent is at 6 life. I will do the whole Ocelot Pride thing. And we just have to see if this is fast enough. We stopped our opponent's turn 1 protected win, but this is still very volatile. We lucked out. So now I know that my opponent has Goblin Charbelcher, which makes Sheltered by Ghosts slightly better. I'm going to go 2 swords out and play 2 things that interact with Goblin Charbelcher. I could get weird and try to do Wrath of the Skies or X equals 0 to destroy artifact mana that is specifically played out. That feels a little niche. I am going to keep this opening hand and hope that I don't die on turn 1. If I don't die on turn 1, I have turn 1 Graveyard Hate, followed by turn 2 Graveyard Hate, and I also have something that can take out a Goblin Charbelcher if it is played out for a past the turn line. But I can still die on turn 1 on my opponent's mulligan to 4. And they did keep at 4. Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Can still die. Not dead. I enjoy not being dead. Scrubland. Got a spell bomb sitting in play now. Alright. Seems like the combination of my opponent's mulligan to 4 plus spell bomb is useful. I am going to play a Containment Priest here, and then I have the intention of using Sheltered by Ghosts to take out one of their mana rocks. Opponent says, welp, I'm not in a good position here. Good. Good. End of turn, Containment Priest. We have resolved. Going to go ahead and Sheltered by Ghosts this. And I think I take out LED, because the 3 mana this provides towards a Goblin Charbelcher activation seems very relevant. I have the graveyard relatively covered. Shit can happen, but it seems like the easiest way for me to die from here is to Goblin Charbelcher. And Lion's Eye Diamond is the thing that makes that happen the most quickly. Looks like opponent is just passing the turn. I will be attacking for 3 again. Spend it. Opponent's at 14. I'll just pass the turn and play a flash creature. Alright. I will play Phelia here. This has lifelink. Spend it. I'm gonna blink out my spell bomb just to put a +1/+1 counter on Phelia. Opponent's at 9. I will play 1 Ocelot Pride. And then Phelia will return my spell bomb. Then Ocelot Pride will happen. We are not at the City's Blessing. I'm at 9. I could have tapped out to get the City's Blessing, but I just already have lethal next turn, so that feels unnecessary. This feels like the GG moment. King face. Opponent is at 8. Don't think there is anything to worry about here. I could play Voice of Victory pre-combat, but then that means that I can't flash in a Containment Priest if something weird happens. Opponent says 1 mana off of Belch. The fact that they are 1 mana off of Belch after I stopped it one time is very scary. Alright. We got there. On to the next one. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Okay, my hand is great in the dark. It is Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls. This does nothing versus a known combo player. I would keep this in the dark versus a random opponent. This is not a random opponent. I am looking for Thoughtseize here, preferably, and I did find it. I will throw back the basic planes and hopefully punch a small hole here. Bryant going to 5. Keeping on 5. Let's get a scrub and Thoughtseize. Gamble is the only card there that does anything. We will take that. So in case you're not familiar, from that setup, Bryant could play a land, play an LED, cast Gamble, and then get Echo of Eons. It can always go to graveyard from Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh shit. We're just going now anyway. Alright. I mean, I'll F6 now. Bryant's up to 7, now 8 mana. 9 mana as soon as that is live. Beseech, I'm dead. So I Thoughtseized on turn 1. Took the only relevant card from Bryant's hand. And then Bryant's 5-card hand kills me on turn 1 anyway. Alright. Clarion Conqueror is fine here. The Spellbomb and Fairy Macabre type stuff are pretty unexciting. I might play them. The Wrath of the Skies type stuff can sweep artifact mana, but also unexciting. Probably going to get rid of all of the copies of Swords to Plowshares as a starting point. I'm probably going to get rid of the stuff that lets me draw extra cards. The game is just not going to go that long. This is my slowest threat it can potentially go. And then I think I will fill my deck with a couple of bad cards rather than slow threats. These are perfectly reasonable cards that do not do anything on turn 1. I think I need to have something that does something on turn 1. This is not great. I think I am probably keeping it. I will get rid of, I think, Containment Priest. Getting Scrubland. I will play out a Spellbomb. It just doesn't feel good. Like, the Graveyard Hate is not super impactful here. It shuts off some lines, but it is relatively easy to pivot into other things here. That is not the land that I needed. I will throw down Ocelot Pride, which is technically a self-scaling threat, but it's not amazing here. We really needed to naturally hit that second land to play Bowmasters. That would help out a fair amount. So it looks like we are making plays. There's Entomb over there. There's another tutor for Echo, presumably. So there's the Beseech. This is probably just going to get the Song of Creation thingy. Yeah, there it is. So this does not interact with the graveyard. And this is where, like, the Orcish Bowmasters would have been very, very good on curve. Boseiju as a land. There is a Burning Wish. Getting Pulverize, which can destroy all artifacts, which Bryant is casting. I mean, I will nuke the graveyard on the way out. I don't get to draw a card from that. Oh, I'm still alive. Land drop, land drop, land drop, land drop. Please. Void Snare, sure. Land. Fuck. Send in for 1. The land drop is so beyond insane. Now, Bryant is going to have to discard his hand at end of turn. Thoughtseize is not what I'm looking for, believe it or not. We have officially gotten into this is real weird territory. Bryant is whiffing, though. Any 0-cost artifacts are kind of crazy here. He only has a basic green source. But I have no castable cards, so, 3 damage this time. I'm at 22. We'll make another cat. Bryant passing again. I also do not make a meaningful play. Bryant down to 8. I'm at 23. I make a cat. I am now discarding a card. I'm going to, believe it or not, discard Thoughtseize. Bryant passing again. Runehorn Hellkite. Got it. So we're going to go ahead and Sheltered by Ghosts, exile the Song of Creation, go to Punchies, send in. Bryant is at 2. This is a billion to activate. I don't need to show him Fairy here. Does not feel like I should have won that one, but we did. This is about reasonable. I could go down like one more threat to play one more Wrath of the Skies to try to get artifact mana that is just played out in a pass the turn fashion. It's not like Phelia is insane. 33 creatures. That's really 30 creatures. Fairy doesn't count. There are 32 versus 33. Doesn't matter all that much. Or like 28 versus 29 or whatever the other number would have been. Bryant is mulliganing. My hand is unimpressive. I'm going to keep this. If I get Thought Seized and I lose Spellbomb, I still have Wasteland to take out a land, and hopefully that buys me some more time. I don't know that it makes sense to mulligan to try to get a hand that is better versus Thoughtseize. Bryant is on 6. We'll see if we die on turn 1. There is a very good chance that the answer to that question is yes. Not this game, though. Bryant just plays out a bunch of mana. And now I have my choice of Thoughtseize or Spellbomb. So this Mox Opal can represent Veil of Summer. I am always fetching a Scrubland. I think I will bite. So this could be Veil of Summer. This could be Bryant. It is Entomb instead. That is the Hellkite. That one costs 6. Echo goes into Graveyard. What a disaster. This is going to give us both a fresh 7, which I think is very favorable for Bryant, especially since my new hand here sucks. Lotus Petal. A Chrome Mox. Land. LED. LED. What's the last card, Bryant? Is it a banger? It is a banger. This is just going to be another draw 7. Bryant cracking both LEDs here. Have some flexibility of what colors remain floating. I am not on any free interaction here. Looks like Bryant can keep going. Thoughtseize. We are at Lethal Storm already. So any Beseech type card will just kill me. There is Beseech. Or Tendrils. We potentially win that one if I play out Spellbomb on turn 1 instead of Thoughtseize. GG's. Alright, I am going to keep a land light hand here, assuming that my Thoughtseize is probably going to be good. And we'll see if this is good enough. If I draw another land, yeah. Oh no, I have to read a card. No, I don't. This is Atraxa. Alright. So Sneak Attack is the thing that is immediately scary. I will take that. Stock Up, however, is very, very good. My opponent just gets to surveil land here. Oh no, they're not going to surveil land. They will probably then fetch a Bulk and just do the whole stock up thing on their own turn. Yep. I think my opponent is going to outpace my potential clock here. I just don't think what I am doing is going to be good enough. Alright, there's 3 mana. Yeah, it's over. Not literally. So the Atraxa trigger will happen. There's Emrakul plus Lotus Petal. That'll do. Yeah, Emrakul, Lotus Petal. Alright. We are dead on turn 3 after stopping the first sneak attack. Artifact creatures and planeswalkers. Enchantment is not something this stops. Sheltered by Ghosts can be okay to put in off of a show and tell. Path is probably better than giving my opponent a bunch of life off of swords. Containment Priest is naturally a boon here. Not versus Omniscience, though. Staff of the Storyteller seems not super important. I just don't expect to need to grind. I'm just going to play a couple of Goyfs to round things out. They're not exciting. This is a very similar hand as to last time. I think I am going to pitch this one. It has a lot of same problems as the previous hand, where like I thought Seize, but I don't think what I'm doing as follow-up is good enough. I am going to do this and hope the top of the deck rewards me. If I think I can end the game quickly, I can take Ponder. That is a high-risk, high-reward line. Show and Tell is a more conservative line. That means that my opponent can't do Omniscience into Atraxa. My opponent just has an Abrade, so my Voice of Victory is unlikely to go all of the way. I'm going to take Show and Tell and force my opponent down the sneak attack route. So my current plan is draw a land within 2 turns to make this into a live card. Oh shit. I am going to play Voice of Victory in hopes that my opponent uses a Braid on it on their turn, and then I can try to stick Containment Priest. Alright, there's a new land. Here is the Abrade coming. Oh shit, it is Pentad Prism instead. That's annoying. So let's send in Mobilize 2. Hit opponent down to 15. I can make Containment Priest uncounterable on my turn. I think I just play it in response to Sneak Attack going on the stack, though. Then my opponent won't have a Braid up in the short term. Okay. That's fine. End of turn, I will play my better card that is now not dying to a Braid. Phelia. Phelia Containment Priest rears its head now. Opponent at 13. I think I'm just going to play another big threat. I think I want to respect the timelines where this eats another removal spell immediately, and I need to replace it. The Phelia stuff is very cute, obviously. That is Show and Tell. Not great. I'm not going to put this in because of Containment Priest. My opponent puts in Omniscience, and that's an Emrakul. And it doesn't matter if I would have cast a Phelia, because this just obliterates all of my permanents, and my opponent also gets Sephiroth here. Nice job, Containment Priest. GG. Alright, we have a reasonable looking opening hand here. We have turn 1 interaction. We have the ability to maybe grind later. We have Guide of Souls, Phelia to blink things to give additional energy. I have a Wasteland for that. So hopefully there's not a crazy follow-up play like Life from the Loam here. Not immediately, at least. I think I am going for upkeep, Wasteland them off of Urza's Saga. Bowmaster? Bowmaster. In which case, I will do this right now. What exactly are we playing against? What has Mox Diamond, Urza Saga, and Bowmasters, and Savannah? Sort of Knight of the Reliquary style nonsense, potentially. I'll take 2 here. Shadowy Backstreet. Opponent is potentially a Wasteland deck. I think I am going to start on a basic here. I think I'm going to go Guide of Souls. Another basic land. No attacks from my opponent. I do have to respect that things like Endurance can be coming immediately. I think I'm going to stay on basics and go ahead and Thoughtseize. It feels like my opponent is probably going to cast an Endurance in response. I am correct. So those lands are just going back into my deck. Prismatic Ending is gone. Ocelot Pride comes down. Let's just go ahead and yield to that. Obviously, I don't attack into the Endurance here. And let's go ahead and yield to that as well. Make my cat. And if I want, I can just like chump block Endurance more or less indefinitely. I know my Phelia is not immediately good due to the Caracas that's in hand. I can use Phelia to bounce the Orc Army token. Sure. If I lose Guide of Souls, take this hit. I'll keep my life total high. So my opponent is holding their Caracas, which potentially makes playing Phelia reasonable. Containment Priest. So this is getting into, this is weird territory. If my opponent does not play the Caracas, then the Phelia is very good. And if Phelia sticks, Containment Priest is really cool. I think I am going to hope that everything goes the way that I want. Just pass the turn here. We'll see how dialed into Phelia as a threat my opponent is. I'm at 12. Nice. Play Phelia. So, I get to exile something. I have Staff. Feels like I should just take out the Endurance, though. If I take out Bowmaster, though, Ocelot Pride can attack in and get me a chump blocker for Endurance. Okay. This can backfire. Does not immediately backfire. Opponent goes to 17. I will play out Staff, trigger, charge Staff, go to end of turn. I will make a token, play this. Oh, I had meant to play this in response to the trigger, but I already auto-yielded earlier. So I missed out on some tokens there. That is 2 mana for a crop rotation. Opponent will phase out my Containment Priest, which is going to let their Orcish Bowmasters return. So that can kill Ocelot Pride. Okay, I guess I did not actually lose out on City's Blessing stuff because my opponent would have phased it out. Opponent sending everybody in. Totally fine, double blocking the token. I will go down to 10. Now there's my opponent's Caracas and a Knight. So I'm going to go to combat, and then my opponent's going to bounce my Phelia. Oh shit. This is your moment. Okay, yeah, there it is. So I now will play Inajani, which is kind of annoying for my opponent. Charge up the Staff. Not the best with Bowmasters here. I might end up drawing a card at some point anyway, despite the Bowmasters. If my opponent just attacks in with a fair creature, I get to block and get a Planeswalker that just keeps giving me cats, but my opponent has Caracas, meaning the game is going to get a little weird. I think my opponent is in the driver's seat in that their good plays and misplays are going to matter a lot. Ooh, opponent's got red. Is that just for Prismatic Ending? Is that for blasts in the sideboard? That is Endurance coming in. I am interested in having a Planeswalker. Let's see how my opponent feels about that. Ajani trigger. This is your chance to bounce that with Caracas, which is happening. Now we are starting to get into the how many Talon Gates does my opponent play sort of situations. Do I want to draw a card right here? Kind of into it. I don't know. It is another relevant body for Phelia purposes. Maybe I don't. Alright, Thoughtseize not doing anything here. So I'm going to go to Punchies. Send in, trigger, target Knight, and we see what happens. Plateau gets sacrificed. It is Sajiri, so my opponent does successfully protect their Knight. Now, like, that potential 1-1 was super relevant. I deal 2. I play a Ajani. I charge staff. I could draw here. Give my opponent a chance to ping this cat and flip my planeswalker while Caracas is tapped. Let's see if they bite on that. Marsh Flat's not what I'm looking for. Opponent does not shoot my cat. I'll make a land drop and pass. That is a green sun into Containment Priest. Yay. Alright, opponent has decided they are no longer the beatdown. They might need to bounce my Phelia. Going to fetch. I don't want to draw lands. I want to draw interaction. Not that kind. So I'm going to go to combat. Expect to see Phelia bounced here, which does happen. How do I feel about drawing a card? Not bad. Not great. That is another staff. This is great once Bowmasters is gone, but very awkward in the short term. I think if I attack with the cat, my opponent just takes 2 and doesn't do this. I think this is better back as a blocker right now. I'm going to play out a staff, charge both of those, and pass. Let's see if opponent has something like a Dark Depths combo to work towards. It is just a Yavimaya. So Knight specifically says sacrificed a forest or plains, which is why Yavimaya is useful. Now my opponent can get rid of lands that aren't on the surface good. That is another Knight. You got it. Alright, opponent is passing. My Phelia is checked by Caracas. I think I am into drawing cards still. It is starting to get a little dicey. I'm going to try to believe, though. Wasteland is sort of neat on a longer time scale. Opponent goes for my Spirit, which I think is correct. I will Phelia. Draw step, not exactly spitting out fire here. Alright, I'm going to go to combat. Okay, I am getting to declare attackers here. So I am going to go ahead and attack with Phelia. What is the scariest? The Bowmasters? I think the Bowmasters. Let's get rid of that, because that opens up staff. Alright, opponent's doing something here. Do you have another Talon Gates? That is Echoing Deeps for Sajiri. Annoying. Surely if you had access to Sajiri, I die last turn, right? You just Sajiri through and, like, that's that. I think with this ability on the stack, I am now going to take out Caracas and try to get my opponent to bounce Phelia so it doesn't die in combat damage. Okay, opponent did not fall for it. That is now protection from white. This fizzles. I suspect I lose this in blocks now. Am I at the point where I have to draw with staff? If so, I should not have let that resolve. I think I do draw. Yeah. Not the end of the world, though. I can kill one of the 9/9 knights. Alright, that's pinging this. That means I get a planeswalker. So I'm good with that. I will say yes to this. We'll deal with that in a minute. So now I hope that my opponent blocks with just knight here, and I get to save Phelia and remove knight with the same card. Yes! So good. Opponent had a pro-white creature that never should have happened. The additional block was free. So I will make a cat. This charges this. I don't think I draw here. My Thoughtseizes are dead. My Marsh Flats is dead. We'll call it a turn there. This is dicey. My opponent has big creatures. Windswept Heath, their draw for the turn. At me, at me, at me. So I need to block 2. Means I am losing Containment Priest. Block there, go to 3. Alright. I can attack and kill this orc. I can then make a chump blocker for knight. I think I just need any live creature, and I'm good. I'm not going to draw here. Is that true? Actually, the token gets blinked out all the same. Fuck it. I'll draw. Okay, there is a body. I'm at 2. Draw steps, not producing the best cards. I attack, orc is covered. My cat token covers knight. My Voice of Victory covers endurance. I can't really draw another card for Bowmasters right now. So there's Voice. There's cat. Charge both stabs. Go to punchies. Send in Phelia. Blink out this. Opponent goes to 22. This is tight, but I am absolutely on the right track now. Oh fuck, does that do it? block, block, take exactly 2. Don't love that. Remember when I had yielded to Ocelot Pride triggers earlier in this game and did not get extra tokens from the City's Blessing? Feels like that small of a difference was relevant this game. Oh shit, not attacking with Bowmasters. That means I'm not dead. Hell yeah. Block. And block. Take 1. Go to 1. Opponent had lethal and did not take it. Wasteland is pretty close to irrelevant. Like, it is correct, I think, for my opponent to do it, but it probably does not matter. Let's fucking go. I'm going to play Orcish Bowmasters. I'm going to Bowmasters and ping your Bowmasters. I'm going to charge both copies of Staff. I am going to make a cat. Charge twice. We will go ahead and draw a card. We will go ahead and draw another card. It is Swords to Plowshares. I will Swords to Plowshares a Knight of the Reliquary. I will go to combat. I will attack with a Phelia. Phelia trigger. I will target Orcish Bowmasters. I will deal 2 to my opponent. I have activated these. Playing these don't matter. I will go to end step. Phelia trigger. Orcish Bowmasters. Get Dryad Arbor. I am at 1. I need my opponent to not have Orcish Bowmasters. That kills me. Elvish Reclaimer. Sure. Opponent is attacking with their Endurance. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are gone. And now I have free reign to draw a bunch of cards. Oh, so many cards. Draw 1. Containment Priest. Draw another. Phelia. Play a Staff. Charge all 3. Play... let's just activate this now. Triggers. Play a Containment Priest. Go to combat. Send in. Phelia trigger. Target Elvish Reclaimer, which is not going to come back. 26. That's a good turn. So we're still dead to Orcish Bowmasters. I need to find like an Ocelot Pride, a Guide of Soul, or a Swords to Plowshares to play around that. Okay. So do I start drawing cards now? If my opponent has Orcish Bowmasters, I am already, in theory, dead to it. So let's go ahead and draw. All right, there is an Ocelot Pride. That is some life gain. Let's draw another card. Okay, that's Swords to Plowshares. Now I'm not dead to Bowmasters anymore. So let's go combat, attacks, send, 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 send. Blink out Mox Diamond this time. All right, opponent is at 19. I will go Ocelot Pride. I'm going to go ahead and plus and get a +1/+1 counter on that. That's good enough for a turn. Phelia trigger happens. Opponent sacrifices their Mox Diamond. And I think we're good. I will play another Containment Priest. Wasteland is fantastic. Take out Yavimaya. Take my opponent off of double green in combat for Who's He What's It. It is a crop rotation. Opponent's deck has Urza Saga. Just a land. Go ahead and plus. I'm making this bigger intentionally. Send it, send it, send it. I'm going to leave back a couple of idiots. Phelia trigger can target a staff, I guess. Gives me another spirit. Opponent is at 16. Then 7. We're going to call that good enough. Opponent fetches. Finds a scrub. I will get some triggers. I had a better way to stack that, but I'm auto-yielded to Ocelot Pride from earlier, as we have already discussed. And I have beyond lethal next turn. I can also Staff of the Storyteller draw any number of times. Do one here. Good enough. Yeah, you can swords. Yeah, you can swords. That was a hell of a game. So I missed stacking the Order of Ocelot Pride early on, but I think my opponent punted lethal. I think they had crop rotation or night activation. I forget what it was for Echoing Deeps for Sajiri to push through what I believe were all white creatures on my board at the time. So I have, what, 5 minutes to close out this game? Thoughtseize is the worst card in my deck. That can absolutely just get out. Removal spells are in. Glyphs are probably in. Clarion Conquerors are fine. Some negative synergy with Ajani, but I think shutting off all the Knight and equivalent abilities is fine. These are fine. Voice of Victory is not super good here. I'm going to cut those. This is 61. There's also Wrath of the Skies, which is like reasonable. One Ajani if I'm bringing in Clarion Conqueror. I'm going to concede this game relatively quickly if it looks like I am in bad shape. I'm going to mulligan this. This is not stable. I am going to keep this. This is fine. This goes Ocelot Pride into Guide of Souls relatively quickly. And I can probably tell very quickly how good this hand is going to be. That's a Green Sun for a Dryad Arbor. I think I will ignore Dryad Arbor and Swords something else, unless I draw Swords here, which I did not. So I will just Guide of Souls and pass. The hope is that I Swords something like a Knight of the Reliquary this turn. Yeah, that exactly. I will Swords over Path here. Shadowy Backstreet. Land is fine. Send in for 1. Obviously don't have energy. That is a new Knight of the Reliquary, which is fine. I'm not super interested in letting that untap. We will go ahead and path to exile that, and then play something, send in for 1. And then next turn I've got Ocelot Pride and Staff of the Storyteller in the same turn, which is pretty respectable. Crop rotation? Crop rotation? It is Thespian Stage and Dark Depths at the same time. Yeah, you've got it. I'm not immediately dead to that. Play Staff. Make a friend. I think I need to always just yield to this. So on that note, I yield to all energy generation abilities and this. This is a blocker for Merit Lage. I go ahead and draw a card immediately. Play land. Play Ocelot Pride. This is going to give me the City's Blessing right here. Nice. I'm at 23 life, notably. Opponent's Swords, Guide of Souls. I will send in with a Cat Warrior token. I think they had an opportunity to do this in a way where I gain less life and maybe don't get the City's Blessing. Now I have multiple tokens with flying if my opponent sends in with Merit Lage. Bowmaster's not bad. I have multiple flying tokens. That feels like a punt. Block with my other flying token. Containment Priest, sure. I'll send in with everybody. Opponent does not block. Goes to 17. I'm going to get some extra blockers at end of turn from Ocelot Pride. I'm at 25 life with a staff that is charging up. Windswept Heath. Opponent sends in for 20. That's happening. End of turn, I'll go ahead and do this. And I think I go ahead and do a draw here. Opponent can ping this Ocelot Pride. That's not what the game is about. The game is about not dying to this card. Ooh, did that just give me lethal? By plussing on cuts? I don't think so. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a card, and I need something that answers Merit Lage. I get one more draw. Sure. Yeah. Draw. This is a spirit token. That's a blocker. Oh, not anymore. It's not. Fuck. I had a better line. Okay. I played a little too quickly there. I bridged the time gap a lot, though. Okay, so my line was draw a card, then play Staff of the Storyteller, attack for a bunch, have one more mana to play Phelia. Yeah, I think I punted that entire game. Fuck. Had to play quickly. I am playing quickly well, better than my opponent. But I spent a lot of time trying to dig myself out of that hole in game 1. When I'm on the play, do I want Ajani to come down sooner? Sure. 2 lands, keep. Flooded Strand, pass. End of turn, I will go for a Surveil land here. I think I just want extra mana or removal. Not that. This is Flooded Strand and pass. I will play Phelia at my opponent's end step and try to set up Phelia, Containment Priest. Wasteland is not great. I will fetch. Get Scrub. Play Phelia. Hope opponent doesn't Wasteland me. They do. Land. Pretty close. Ocelot Pride. No Containment Priest in play. So I can attack, trigger, blink, to just get my +1/+1 counter. Opponent's at 18. I get Ocelot Pride back. Phelia is bigger. Opponent not taking any action with their fetch land. I don't think you have the time to sit here and go into the tank. I know I don't. I don't think you do. That is Elvish Reclaimer and Karakas, which is a pretty annoying combo here. I will happily path that out of the way. Well, maybe not happily, but I will path that out of the way. It gives my opponent a basic land, but it means that they don't get to tutor up all the bullshit. Phelia gets bounced. Ocelot Pride smashes in. All I need is mana here. I think if I draw running lands, I can win this game handily. What is that? That is Life from the Loam on a Wasteland. That is very bad. But my opponent did not play the Wasteland immediately, which is great for me, because that means that I have a chance to play relevant 2-drops. Did not happen. I'm going to do lazy F6ing a way to do this. Send it. Ooh, opponent has another play. A Bowmaster is very bad. It is a Bowmaster. That is quite bad. An opponent is just going to trade here. That's fine. So now my opponent should just Wasteland me into Oblivion. There's also Prismatic Ending that does not help my cause. I will take 1 here. 18. I will put this into play. My opponent should Wasteland it, even though it costs them multiple lands. I don't know that they are going to be heads up enough with this little time on the clock to realize that. But they should not let me get to 2 mana under any circumstances. They did not Dredge Life from the Loam. I'll take 3. I'm at 14. That's not Wasteland. Great for me. It's not castable. It's just Dryad Arbor. It is so easy for me to break through this game if I hit a land drop. My opponent is not doing what they need to do to lock me out. I take 4. I'm at 10. Yavimaya, sure. That's bad for me, though. Damn it. I'll discard Phelia without thinking about it too much. Is 9 damage. I think I am dead now. That's very disappointing. Alright, I will toss in the towel there. I played that match very well. I am happy with how I played. There were some minor Moto-related things with the Ocelot Pride trigger stacking. Otherwise, no complaints here. GG's. Well, we have a great opening hand if the game goes past the first turn or so. Alright, my opponent has kept on 4. I guess I look for Thoughtseize off of this, assuming that my opponent is on Oops or something equivalent. I am not into Ocelot Pride. It is a fine Magic the Gathering card and everything, but I have multiple 2-drops here. I think I just want to use my mana on 2-drops and Wasteland. It is Underground Sea. I will Wasteland the fuck out of that card. I don't need to do it right now. I'll do it in my opponent's upkeep on the off chance that they are playing a Stifle deck, which I don't expect to be happening. Seems like we're going to be playing against Doomsday. Opponent junks a Force of Will. I will junk their Wasteland. Edge of Autumn in response. Lol. Whatever. The land is still dead. Obviously not as good as it could have been, but we'll take it. Lotus Petal. Looks like just into blue cantrip. Yep. Looks like opponent does not currently have any lands and is potentially also Brainstorm locked. Am I into Phelia or Ajani? Ajani attacks for 3 next turn. Phelia attacks for 2 but can blink Ajani. I think I like the idea of blinking the Ajani. Opponent does not have any lands and is indeed still Brainstorm locked. So, let's play Phelia. I could draw cards with Staff instead, trying to find Thoughtseize specifically over the next few turns, or another Wasteland, I guess. That might not be better than just punching my opponent in the face with cats, though. Honestly, like, reducing my opponent's life total to 0 kind of matters a lot. So make a cat, go to punchies, send it, blink, deal 2 to my opponent, and then Phelia gets the counter, and I get yet another cat. And then I think I just play a sorcery speed Ajani on my own turn. Let's play Ocelot Pride first, and casually play around Days. Then Ajani, Legend Rule happens, transform, do the +1/+1 counters. There's a fair amount of damage. Just blink the Planeswalker. It being a Planeswalker doesn't super matter. This is definitely all of my moving parts doing things. So, Now we Ajani, we get yet another cat. I go very, very wide of any blockers. Past the turn, Doomsday lines are not viable. So it has to be like Dark Ritual, Doomsday, into draw cards and win immediately. Which is possible, but it did not happen. I'm very happy to win game 1 versus this deck because I think this is going to be a tough matchup. Containment Priest doesn't do a lot. Swords to Plowshares doesn't do a lot. Let's see how much of this I can get out of my deck. My game also is not likely to go long, so it's not like Staff of the Storyteller is amazing either. So, Galarian Conqueror has some niche uses. Sheltered by Ghosts has some niche uses. Like, I can play something like Path to Exile and potentially just use it as a ramp spell. Spellbomb is not super great either. There are occasionally some reanimate-based lines, or more accurately, unearth-based lines that a Spellbomb or a Fairy Macabre could disrupt. Super rarely the exiling Thassa's Oracle with its trigger on the stack is relevant, but they usually do that with an empty library unless things have kind of already gone wrong. I don't really know that my clock is fast enough on average. Maybe I will go for this. Like, Fairy Macabre is still just a creature that I can hardcast. It's 29 creatures. That's still a lot of creatures. Play one Goyf or one Path to Exile to round this out, I think. Let's do one Goyf. It has power and toughness. My opponent mulliganed to 5 or something dumb, right? Yeah, they mulliganed to 4 cards. So, like, we won that one handily, but perhaps my opponent was already on the ground when the fight started, so to speak. This does not have colored mana. We will mulligan this one. This has a card that interacts with the card Doomsday. I will keep this one. Probably getting words are tough. Probably getting rid of a land here. Opponent is on 6 cards as well. Let's see what no good nonsense they are up to. That is putting a Doomsday on top, which means that my initial Thoughtseize does not interact with that on turn 1, which is very awkward for me. So I'm now going to have a decision on my turn whether or not I try to... Never mind. Oh, that's tough. So now land Doomsday is just good to go. So Thoughtseizing my opponent probably does not stop them from casting Doomsday. In which case, do I hope that they don't have land and then cast Thoughtseize afterwards? Or do I hope they don't have land and I take like a Dark Ritual that they want to use next turn? I don't have anything that can add to the power to the board this turn. I think I'm going to go Marsh Flats, pass, Surveil land with this, and hope that I take a card from the hand that is necessary for their Doomsday pile to work. Yeah, so me casting the Thoughtseize never stops this Doomsday from happening if they have the land. That I knew ahead of time. I'm looking to Surveil land for, like, Wasteland, another Thoughtseize. Those are probably about it. Firing Conqueror is too slow. Alright, it looks like my opponent has built their pile. Here is what is in exile currently. I'm just kind of taking a look. Engineered Explosives is good to know about. There's a Street Wraith here. Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will. 2 Dazes showing. I'm going to be cognizant of Daze. I will Shadowy Backstreet. Swamp I do not want. I'm going to Thoughtseize. I don't think it is going to be great. I think it is the play that keeps me alive for another turn cycle. Is Daze and Force of Negation. So what am I looking to draw? And is any of it relevant? I guess in theory I want to draw a Wasteland, get a Thassa's Oracle stuck in my opponent's hand, and then Thoughtseize it. In which case, if resolving Thoughtseize is important, I take Force of Negation. I can already Thoughtseize around Daze. Alright. There is a Consider. Thassa's Oracle going to graveyard. That is Unearth targeting Thassa's Oracle. I will Fairy Macabre. I will get rid of Thassa's Oracle and Consider. Now my opponent still has 2 cards left. There can still be another Thassa's Oracle here. But I might be at the point where a Wasteland or something is now live. That is a Scrubland. I am going to draw a card with Staff of the Storyteller immediately. So make my token, draw a card. Hopefully the other Thassa's Oracle is the bottom card of library. That is a land. That means Wasteland is not live. Fuck. So if Wasteland is not live to stop Thassa's Oracle, I need to draw... I don't think I have any outs. Like, I can draw a Thoughtseize and take that Daze. That's not doing anything. Alright. Let's try to do something. I don't think there's anything, again. Trigger this twice. Draw a card. Bowmaster's not getting there. Draw another card. Thoughtseize late and awkward. One's at 8. That loss is a little frustrating. So we beat a Doomsday pile and then lost to the second hardcast Thassa's Oracle. I mean, opponent played it in a way where they had access to another land to play around Wasteland. But damn. So now that I have shown my opponent Fairy Macabre, they are probably not going to go for a pile that looks like that again. I still don't know that I bored out the fairies. And maybe I could have kept Containment Priest in over something like Staff. Staff is very, very slow, as that game definitely showed. It's just very hard to staff and do something else meaningfully in the same turn cycle. Not that that is fast either. I don't know, maybe a Bruiser is not the end of the world. This is just a tough matchup in terms of how Thoughtseize interacts with the top of the library from things like Personal Tutor. That doesn't do much. This is mid. This is okay as a threat. Bowmasters does stuff. I would really rather Thoughtseize. I'm going to fish a little bit. That is Thoughtseize. I will keep this one. And I think I get rid of the Spellbomb. Again, I do not expect my opponent to go for graveyard-based lines if they can avoid it here. So, Thoughtseize. Opponent has enough mana that I'm not really taking out their lands appropriately with my Wasteland, which is a little annoying. I think I will be taking their Ponder. I think that is the card that lets them set up the best. And I am just kind of hoping that they stumble. There's the Mire. Voice of Victory. So it's Force of Will this or Force of Will nothing ever. I am down with that. Losing that Brainstorm is a very real cost here. See what opponent does. They can surveil before they decide. Island to bin. They let Voice of Victory resolve. Which scares me because there's now a decent chance that my opponent just goes for a win, like Dark Ritual into immediate... I'm going to assume that Force of Will is now gone. This land also might be gone. Dark Ritual into Doomsday is very real here. Alright, that is a Ponder. I think I am into double Wasteland those blue sources. And just hope Guide of Souls, Voice of Victory, hard carries. You're not a card. Sorry. Wasteland you. Wasteland you. Guide of Souls. This is going to give me 2 energy this turn, so I don't get to give flying immediately. But this is a hell of a fucking clock. I, in theory, don't need to play any more aggressive cards for the rest of the game. My opponent is at 15. Past the turn Doomsday lines are going to be a little tricky if they don't happen this turn. Now, my opponent does have Dark Ritual. So it is possible that they can go down to 7. Do something like fetch, go to 14, Doomsday down to 7, and maybe produce a pile that kills. Leave them at like 1. I'm probably doing 6 on my next attack. Alright, there's Polluted Delta, which is not the Flooded Strand that I saw earlier. Underground Sea. Is it Dark Ritual Doomsday? It is Dark Ritual. It is Doomsday. My opponent can't build this with a fetch land or a Street Wraith. There's probably a Consider pile that works. Alright, I watched a few minutes worth of TikToks. Let's see what my opponent has put together. I don't see the unearthed nonsense here that either means it's not in the deck or it's what my opponent is doing. There's only one Thassa's Oracle in there, so they are getting one shot at whatever it is they are doing. Opponent at 7, and it is a pass the turn situation. Ooh. Well, this is going to resolve. Thoughtseize target you. Street Wraith is not live. I do not need to take that. I'm just going to confirm I deal 1, 2, create 2 creatures, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the energy. So Street Wraith is not live. I would like Brainstorm. Go to combat. I need to stack this so the Guide of Souls trigger goes on bottom. Voice of Victory trigger. Say yes. I'll put the counters on Voice of Victory. So my opponent's at 1. Street Wraith is not live. They have to win. They don't have their Brainstorm. They cannot use Flooded Strand. They cannot use Street Wraith. It is another Brainstorm. So the 3 cards need to be Petal, Petal, Oracle, or equivalent. Lion's Eye Diamond. Land. You don't have Edge of Autumn, right? That was over here. Oh, there's 2 Edge of Autumns. That's unfortunate. Consider... I feel like I worked so hard that match, and it just did not matter. GG's. Alright, let's wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. For what it is, pretty darn good. For a first draft of a deck, this is great. Sirion, if you are looking to play Phelia Containment Priest, this seems like a reasonable direction to go doing that. Now, today we paired against 4.5 combo decks, if we count the Dark Depths finish that the Night of the Reliquary deck had, and largely only having Thoughtseize to interact versus those decks doesn't feel great. Legacy is, I think, still north of 50% combo. Let me take a quick look at the statistics. Yeah, 54% combo as of the day of recording. And having to deal with all of that combo while being a non-blue deck is certainly an uphill battle. And so much of it is just so incredibly fast, right? Like, Blue-Black Reanimator threatens to effectively have you dead on turn 2. Oops threatens to have you dead on turn 1 with protection. The Storm combo and Doomsday decks are relatively fast as well. It is a hard time to want to grind value with things like Staff of the Storyteller, but you need some amount of endgame inevitability, be that Goyf's the One Ring Staff of the Storyteller or something like that, or you just have no real shot versus the fair decks. And many of the other hate bears aren't what they used to be, like playing Thalia, Guardian of Thraben in the Orcish Bowmasters world just doesn't really work, right? And a lot of other things, like, say, Aethersworn Canonist, don't necessarily stop Doomsday lines, for example. So, thumbs up for what it is. Maybe not the most viable thing in the world, but I think you would have a lot of fun playing this. And the question you would have to ask yourself is doing something like this better than just playing like Black-White Yorion Death and Taxes, where you have the Overlord of the Baelmerks and Yorion at your disposal? I think if you're playing Yorion, Containment Priest doesn't really make sense to run. I think the tension is bigger there if you are always going to have access to something that wants to blink your own stuff. But I could be wrong. And with that, I think I'm going to call it a day, folks. That was a lot of fun. There was some great magic in there. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!